My colleague Gaurav is also with me on the story. Gaurav, one of the other things that has been highlighted is the statement of the Air Chief Marshal. What comes out is the defense ties between India and Russia.
Extremely critical. They always say a friend in need is a friend indeed. And India and Russia have been very strong strategic partners. It's a time-tested relationship. It's a relationship where, whether it's been the 1971 war or post-Kargil, the Russians actually gave us some of the weapons in their own system. They took them out and gave them to us when we required them. And of course, look at S-400, but look at India. There was so much pressure from the Americans not to buy the S-400 system. There was a threat of sanctions, and yet Dr. S. Jaishankar, the External Affairs Minister, had made it very clear this was a pre-Katsa deal, and India would go ahead with it. It was a pre-American sanctions deal, and these S-400 systems were required for India's security, and India will not compromise on our security. India went ahead with the S-400 systems, and they've held us in great stead, as did the BrahMos supersonic cruise missiles, which are now made in India, and are being exported to other countries and strengthening them, including the Philippines, for example. India's defense exports, they've increased manifold. But what does this show? India is very strong, not just in protecting our borders, but also in hitting across. Sandeep and I were covering 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks in 2008. We were on ground zero through those 3 days when those Pakistani terrorists were creating a mayhem and when they were neutralized. And of course, Qassab was later hanged. Then Air Chief and Fali Homi Major, and he said this to me on record, on camera. They approached the government that they wanted to hit Pakistan, and they wanted to hit Pakistan to send across a message. Recently, you'd recall, Aishwarya, you were in Parliament that day when Amit Shah, Union Home Minister, said that the then National Security Advisor Shiv Shankar Menon, he approached the government and suggested that BrahMos missile could be launched at Murid ke Lashkar-e-Taiba headquarters. It did not happen. 26/11 was one of the worst massacres in our country's history. 166 people from 20 countries were massacred by Pakistani terrorists. No response. Look at what happened post-Pahalgam. You've seen surgical strikes after Uri, after Pulwama. You've seen Balakot airstrikes. That was in one location. Here, the Air Chief today went on record. So you've had 12 locations of air bases, radar stations, and he's given details of 6 radar stations being destroyed. From Sardu in Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir, through Rahim Yar Khan, Noor Khan, Mushaf, Sargodha, Chaklala, Jacobabad, Sukkur, Bulari in Sindh, these Pakistani air bases were destroyed. Their radar stations were destroyed. Their fighter jets were destroyed. Pakistan has about 400-odd fighter jets, in which if it loses these 5, and especially when it loses F-16s, if it of its, I think, 5 or 6 ELINT and early warning command and control systems, if it loses 2, it just goes on to show how Pakistan was crippled. Their warfighting capabilities were crippled. Their radars were taken down. Holes were punched in the air defense. And had this escalated, there is the opinion, of course, is divided. There are some who say that we should have decimated their warfighting capabilities.
Right.
There are others who say that a message had to be sent, and it was sent.
Right, Gaurav, please stay on with me. Shivani, coming to you now. Till now, there was a little bit of a doubt of what exactly happened during Operation Sindoor. With this one statement, the fog has lifted over what exactly India did in Operation Sindoor.
Aishwarya, now the Air Chief Marshal has given out the minutest details about with the name of the aircraft which have been destroyed, the Pakistani aircraft which have been destroyed here. 5 kills of the aircraft, including 1 aircraft, as Gaurav was also saying, ELINT and the early warning system craft. So they have been lost. He's also naming 6 bases where the radars were destroyed. He's also telling how the S-400 has been a game changer. And apart from the S-400, we already know that the BrahMos missiles, they have destroyed more than 11 air bases out there, and the Cant areas in Pakistan, they have been inflicted with severe damages. So, Aishwarya, it's very clear that the F-16s that are the US-origin fighters that Pakistan was flying, they've been killed by S-400, the systems that India possesses, the Russian systems. So the Russian equipment, the Indian equipment is much better, much lethal than what Pakistan has been using, the Chinese and the US fighter crafts that it has been using. So there is no doubt about the capabilities of India, India's own weapon systems, S-400 that it procures from Russia. More S-400 systems have to come to India, Aishwarya, and there can be talks of more such S-400 units from Russia for procurement itself. We already have a procurement deal for 5. 3 are in India, 2 have to arrive, and this Russia India capability is going to get stronger, and it is coming at the time when Donald Trump has been declaring a number of tariffs on India. He's been pressurizing India when it comes to the deals, and also trying to persuade India for his F-35, to which India has not only given a thought till now. But Aishwarya, it's absolutely correct that when Air Chief Marshal Amarpreet Singh, he is speaking here for the first time, perhaps he's breaking the silence after Operation Sindoor. He's actually silenced a number of questions, a number of fingers that were pointing towards India, that were claiming that we've lost certain assets. But yes, he's already exposed Pakistan that how it came onto knees and it wanted a ceasefire understanding, and that's why the DGMO of India was being approached through United States by Pakistan. So this is the reality of Pakistan, that has been celebrating the victory of its operation against India, and Operation Sindoor has been a major lesson for Pakistan, where it has lost not only 5 jets there on the hangars as well as in the air, but also 6 radars, multiple air bases, and also a bigger craft that Air Chief Marshal was mentioning, the early warning system, that happens to be one of the very important component of the Pakistan's Air Force. So a big loss for Pakistan out there, and more clarity has indeed come here with the specifics of the operation and the victory of India against Pakistan.
Right, Shivani, please stay on with me. Sandeep, coming to you now. Do you believe, Sandeep, now that India will be buying more defense equipments from Russia in days to come?
Absolutely. Aishwarya, I don't see any doubts to this because, President Putin is visiting India very shortly, either this month or the next. It will happen before the end of October, we are told. And he's coming, our sources are telling us, with a very large defense package. And President Putin is offering to India systems that have not been offered to India in the past. This includes very long-range cruise missiles, like the Caliber cruise missile that has a range of over 1,500 kilometers, which Russia has been using in the Russia-Ukraine war. He's offering us a second nuclear-powered attack submarine of the Akula class, and possibly, collaboration on our own nuclear-powered attack submarine program, which we've just begun. There are talks of leasing and selling additional conventional submarines, which the Indian Navy desperately needs. But it is these kind of systems that are being offered, which no other country in the world either has or will offer to India. And we are also hearing that there will be possible talks of Su-57, fifth-generation fighter aircraft, which Russia has been trying to sell India for several years now. This aircraft was developed, of course, with Indian funds, something like $300 million over 2 decades ago. India exited the program, but it seems likely that India could rejoin this to bridge the gap in fifth-generation fighter aircraft program. And, of course, there is that very significant deal of the S-500 missile system, a very long-ranged, anti-ballistic missile and air defense missile system. It's called the Prometheus. It is only in Russian service right now. There is talk. When I was in Russia a few years back, Russian officials indicated that India would possibly be the first country they would offer it for export, given the very high trust on both sides. So President Putin is going to be building on this legacy of Russian defense systems in India's arsenal with Operation Sindoor, where you actually seen it actually make a difference, as the Air Chief Marshal Singh has just mentioned. And also the fact that, Aishwarya, despite Russia fighting a war in Ukraine against all of NATO, they have ensured that supplies of hardware to India have not been affected right through the 3.5-year war.
Right.
Russia has ensured that the ramjet engines that power the BrahMos cruise missile, deliveries of the ramjet engines have not been held up. This has been certified by the BrahMos officials that I spoke to here in Delhi. They said that despite this war, they have continued with the supply. So Russia is a dependable defense partner when it comes to war. They don't tell us whether to use it, whether to not to use this. They don't use weapon systems as diplomatic leverage as other countries have done in the past. So this is a game-changing relationship, and I think we're going to see more of this in the coming weeks and months, Aishwarya.